New load of logs that just came in, 21 foot long. Biggest one's 32 inches in diameter. And they all fell off good. Now I just got to get those suckers on the sawmill. Okay, got these two big logs loaded up. This one's 24 inches in diameter at both ends, and this one's 32 inches in diameter, the limit of the mill, and they're both 21 foot long. They just barely do fit on the mill, and tomorrow I get to cut them up. I had to saw the first one off. It was too long to get on there. We'll see how this turns out. Okay, this is the last of the 4 logs, 30 inches in diameter by 16.5 foot long. It's going to be stacked with the rest of those 3 logs on back of the trailer with the blue tarp. We had rain yesterday and I couldn't work. And the rest of the lumber on the mill, we'll get that cleaned off in the morning and start on this log. I should be finished in a couple of hours. That's a lot of wood to saw. Oh, this is the sawdust pile of the red oak where it came out to shoot with my dust collecting system. You can see how I walked across the end with the dog walking beside me. Oh, that's a lot of wheelbarrow loads. Good dust for liquid absorption and washing the oil off your hands, that sort of thing. It's like cornmeal. Great for later use. First 6-inch cut. That first 4x6 not going to be any good. It's got a lot of bark in it. Now I got to get that off the mill so I can cut another one. Okay, I've managed to wedge it up and to get the forks under it a little bit, so now I'm going to go ahead and try to get it totally on there and get it out of the way. This is work. Okay, I've managed to get it up and on the forks. That's a 6 by 22 by 18 foot long. It's got a few knots in it. There's some interesting feather patterns. Customer wants 4x6s for beams. So what the customer wants, the customer gets. Even if it is a little work, it took a while to push that big thing. It was all I could do to get it to move, even with wedges. Had to find a place to stack it next to the other lumber near the log yard, the mushroom log yard. So it'll be here until I can get back on it and cut those other pieces, and I'll be putting them all up here. That's the bunch picking up tomorrow. Well, so much for having no problems with bugs. I'm sawing off 4-inch cants now. I'll saw each one of those in the 6-inch for the beams. Right down the middle of the heart, there's a huge crack. And I blew all the sawdust. There were a ton of these big old wood ants in there. Lots and lots of eggs. So I sprayed poison all down in there. Whew. Smells strong. Now I'm getting all these secondary cants off. On to the next cant. 4 inches at a time to be resawn into 6-inch 4x6s. Okay, pull that cant off. Most of the hollowing is gone out. Still got some cracks where they fed into the next log, but they're still running around. They're getting slower now, slower. They're starting to jerk a little bit, so I think the poison's taking effect. Let's see what we get underneath this one. I took that bottom cant and flipped it over because you can always get the live edge off as much as possible if you flip these things over. And lo and behold, this thing was eaten up with ants, swarming out of the one hole that's here on the bottom from a knot. Man, look at all those ants. Well, I'm gonna fix them. One thing you don't want is a bunch of ants all over your sawmill, especially this kind of ant. They don't sting, but they will give you a nasty bite because they got the big pinchers. So now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and try to finish up.